13 shopping malls scattered across California, each one built as a monument to suburban ambition, each now vanished, hollowed out, or waiting for the wrecking ball. From corridors that became Hollywood soundstages to structures condemned after engineers walked away, from arson-scarred ruins baking in the desert to a ghost mall surrounded by billion-dollar tech campuses, these sites map a strange and haunting decline. Some burned, some simply emptied and never reopened. One sent its owner to federal prison, and the final entry became something far darker than anyone imagined. We begin with number 1. Number 1, Hawthorne Plaza. Here, the promise of suburban California collided with a spectacle of decay, scandal, and cinematic afterlife. When Hawthorne Plaza opened its doors in 1973, its neon-lit, space-age facade and bustling anchor stores drew crowds from across the South Bay. For 2 decades, its corridors echoed with the sounds of teenagers, families, and late-night shoppers. But as the new millennium dawned, anchor closures and a wave of competition left the mall hollowed out. By the time the 1992 riots swept through Los Angeles, Hawthorne Plaza was already teetering. Looters tore through its storefronts, accelerating its spiral into vacancy. Even as weeds broke through the parking lot and the food court fell silent, the mall found a strange new role. The empty husk became a magnet for Hollywood. Its deserted halls and broken glass transformed into a set for dystopian dreams. Minority Report's futuristic chase, Gone Girl's haunted warehouse, and the stylized ruins in Taylor Swift's music videos all borrowed Hawthorne Plaza's ghostly bones. The mall's red brick staircases and shattered skylights flickered across screens, giving viewers a glimpse of a world abandoned by time. Directors, location scouts, and pop stars turned the plaza into a legend, its decaying grandeur preserved in the language of film and music. But behind the lens, a darker narrative unfolded. Ownership changed hands as the mall languished. In 2022, the story turned criminal. Armand Gabai pleaded guilty to bribing a Los Angeles County official in a failed bid to secure a $45 million leaseback deal. The conviction sent Gabai to federal prison for 4 years, and the property fell into receivership. While the cameras rolled and rumors swirled of MCU blockbusters and high-profile music videos, the city pressed public nuisance charges, citing the mall's role as a magnet for trespassers and crime. In September 2025, the Los Angeles Superior Court issued a permanent injunction. Hawthorne Plaza must be redeveloped or demolished by August 2026. The order demanded fencing, security patrols, and a maintenance plan, but the mall's fate was sealed. By early 2026, demolition crews moved in, tearing down what was once a symbol of modern optimism, now remembered as a cinematic ruin entwined with scandal. Hawthorne Plaza's story is not just one of faded retail glory, but of a site where Hollywood fantasy and real-world corruption met in the shadow of the wrecking ball. Number 2. Fashion Island in San Mateo. Along the edge of the bay, Fashion Island opened its doors in 1967, promising a breezy promenade and waterfront views that drew crowds from across the peninsula. For decades, families laced up skates at one of the Bay Area's rare year-round ice rinks, a winter novelty that lingered even as department stores like Sears faded away by 1999. The chill of the rink, the echo of blades on ice, these memories remained even as tides shifted. In 2007, a luxury renovation gave the mall a second life. The old anchors were replaced by boutique hotels and office towers, polished facades gleaming where once stood faded storefronts. Unlike so many of its peers, Fashion Island sidestepped oblivion, trading nostalgia for reinvention. But the air still holds a trace of longing for the days when the rink was packed and the waterfront thrummed with laughter. Number 3. Sherman Oaks Galleria. In the heart of the San Fernando Valley, the Galleria opened in 1980 with a glass-capped atrium and a cascading waterfall, an instant icon of suburban ambition. Its polished corridors and neon-lit food court became the backdrop for a generation's most indelible pop moments. Fast Times at Ridgemont High immortalized its escalators. Back to the Future. Part 2 and Terminator 2, Judgment Day chased their characters through its gleaming shops. For a while, it seemed that Hollywood fame might shield the Galleria from the fate of its peers, but nostalgia proved no defense. As anchor stores shuttered, Sears closed in 2001, and the last holdouts closed by 2006, the mall's pulse faded. In 2009, an arson fire gutted the central atrium, leaving behind only charred concrete and the echo of movie magic. The city declared the site a blight. By 2012, demolition crews erased the last traces of the Galleria's cinematic past. Today, a community college campus stands where the glass roof once caught the valley sun, a quiet afterlife for a place that once defined the electric promise of California's mall culture. Number 4. County Fair Mall in Woodland. Built in 1974, this mall spun a different kind of memory, one that feels more like a small-town fair than a retail empire. Its corridors once echoed with the sounds of midway games and the laughter of children riding a carousel beneath bright banners. The centerpiece was not a department store, but the County Fairgrounds Exhibition Hall, a gathering spot for local events and seasonal celebrations. That changed in 2003 when the exhibition hall moved to a new site, leaving the mall's heart strangely quiet. JCPenney, the last major anchor, closed in 2008, and the crowds dwindled. Instead of blight or scandal, County Fair Mall slipped gently into a new role. In 2012, the property was reborn as County Fair Plaza, a patchwork of civic offices, a community college extension, and a weekly farmers market. The midway lights are gone, but the spirit of neighborhood connection lingers, softer now, like the faded paint on an old fairground sign. Number 5. Long Beach Plaza. In 1975, a new kind of mall rose just blocks from the ocean, a beach-themed labyrinth crowned by a wave-shaped fountain, its turquoise tiles shimmering under fluorescent lights. For 2 decades, the plaza thrived as a gathering place for families, teens, and mall walkers, the sound of water mingling with laughter and the echo of rollerblades on polished floors. But the tide turned quickly. In 2001, a fire tore through the Broadway wing, leaving behind scorched walls and the acrid memory of smoke. Attempts at revival faltered as crime reports stacked up. By 2006, the mall's reputation had soured. Security patrols became more visible than shoppers. The food hall experiment failed, and storefronts stood empty, their glass smeared with dust and handprints. By 2013, demolition crews erased what remained. Today, the only trace is in memory, the ghost of a fountain, the faded echo of waves, and the uneasy hush that settled when the mall's lights finally flickered out. Number 6. Laguna Hills Mall. In the heart of Orange County, this mall once promised a tropical escape, a central lagoon, lush palms, and sunlight pouring through the glass atrium. Shoppers drifted past the water's edge, pausing under the shade of ferns before wandering into the Broadway or JCPenney. But the dream faded quickly. The arrival of Irvin Spectrum in 1995 drew crowds away, and the old Broadway anchor was reborn as a Macy's, only to shutter its doors for good in 2006. By 2008, the mall's fate was sealed. The interior was gutted, the lagoon drained, and the shell was transformed into the Laguna Hills Marketplace. The echoes of fountains and laughter gave way to the steady hum of big box retail. Where once there was a garden under glass, now only a strip of storefronts remains, a pragmatic reinvention, and the memory of that tropical oasis lingers for those who remember. Number 7. Westminster Mall. When Westminster Mall opened its doors in 1978, the vision was pure escapism. A Japanese garden theme winding through the concourses, koi ponds reflecting neon, and a weekly cultural festival that brought together families from across Orange County. The mall's interior, once fragrant with cherry blossoms and the hush of water features, became a gathering place for more than just shopping. Here, the garden motif wasn't just decor, it was a promise of tranquility amid the suburban rush. But the garden withered. In 1993, the May Company anchor closed, marking the start of a long, slow unraveling. The mall lost its cultural heartbeat, and the festivals faded into memory. For decades, Westminster Mall lingered in a kind of suspended animation, never fully abandoned, but never truly alive. By 2021, the property had been transformed into Westminster Commons, a mixed-use redevelopment that kept only the old cinema as a relic of its past. The koi ponds are gone, the festival's silent, and the garden motif survives only in the memories of those who wandered its quiet halls. In the end, Westminster Mall stands as a gentle warning. When a mall loses its soul, all the retail reinvention in the world cannot bring it back. 8th place, Desert Fashion Plaza in Palm Springs. In 1970, the mall opened with a bold promise: a cactus garden blooming in the courtyard, evening concerts echoing beneath the desert sky, and anchor stores like Sears and J.C. Penney, drawing tourists off the sun-baked streets. For decades, the plaza thrived as a retreat from the relentless heat, a place where visitors wandered shaded walkways lined with boutique shops and the scent of creosote. But by the mid-1990s, the desert's spell began to fade. Sears pulled out in 1995, and the crowds drifted away. Then, in 2003, the story took a violent turn. An arson fire ripped through the central courtyard, blackening the cactus beds and leaving the heart of the mall gutted. The city declared the site hazardous, and the empty shell lingered for years, each summer wind rattling broken glass and scorched steel. In 2010, the ruins gave way to a new vision, a boutique retail village and public park. The last traces of the plaza's former life erased beneath desert landscaping. Yet in the hush of twilight, the memory of those concerts and the ghostly outline of the old cactus garden still haunt the sand. Number 9. Inland Center Mall in San Bernardino. Beneath the Inland Empire's relentless sun, Inland Center opened its doors in 1966, a beacon of mid-century optimism. Shoppers once glided beneath a soaring sunburst skylight, the light scattering across terrazzo floors and the mirrored surface of a full-sized ice rink, a winter fantasy in the heart of Southern California. For decades, families laced up skates and circled beneath the glass, while department stores like the Broadway and Sears anchored the mall's steady pulse. But the ground beneath Inland Center was less stable than it seemed. By the late 1990s, newer malls drew crowds away, and the old anchors faded one by one. In 2010, an earthquake retrofit exposed the mall's hidden fragility, structural deficiencies so severe that city engineers condemned the building outright. There was no fire, no riot, just a quiet, technical death sentence. In 2015, demolition crews erased the last traces of the sunburst skylight and the frozen echo of blades on ice. Today, a municipal office campus and a small park have replaced the mall, but the memory of sunlight pouring through glass and the chill of the rink lingers in the silence where Inland Center once stood. In the 10th place, Valley Plaza in North Hollywood stands as an early monument to California's suburban dreams. When it opened in 1951, its open-air court and iconic clock tower drew crowds from across the valley, promising a new kind of communal life in the post-war sprawl. The original brochure boasted 45 independent shops, a sunset cafe, and Sunday fairs that filled the plaza with music and laughter. For decades, foot traffic studies recorded thousands of daily visitors, the plaza's walkways humming with activity beneath the endless California sky. But as the decades wore on, tastes shifted. Enclosed malls rose nearby, and Valley Plaza's outdoor format fell out of favor. By the early 1980s, anchor stores had vanished, leaving only the outline of a once bustling gathering place. In 1990, the city took control, quietly dismantling the plaza to make way for civic offices and a strip of low-slung retail. Today, only the weathered Valley Plaza sign remains, a solitary relic in a sea of asphalt, a silent witness to the optimism of another era, and a reminder of how easily dreams can be paved over in the march of progress. Number 11. Vallco Shopping Center in Cupertino. Here, the paradox of Silicon Valley is laid bare. A ghost mall stranded in the heart of one of America's richest zip codes, surrounded by the glass towers and startup campuses of the world's tech capital. Vallco opened in 1976, its Art Deco roofline and indoor garden court once a beacon for families and engineers alike. It was the first place you could buy official San Jose Sharks merchandise, a badge of local pride in an era when malls doubled as town squares. But the tech boom that built Cupertino also hollowed it out. J.C. Penney left in 1995, Macy's closed its doors in 2008, and the echo of foot traffic faded to silence. For years, Vallco languished in limbo, caught between developers' promises and City Hall gridlock, its cavernous halls patrolled only by security guards and the occasional urban explorer. 2024, a new plan broke the stalemate. The rise at Vallco, a $4 billion mega project, finally won city approval, promising 2,100 homes, offices, and 14 acres of open space. Demolition is set for 2026, but for now, the empty shell stands as a silent rebuke, a monument to both prosperity and paralysis, where the future of Silicon Valley is written in dust and broken glass. Number 12. The Promenade in Woodland Hills. At the turn of the millennium, this outdoor mall promised a new kind of luxury, with landscape plazas, evening concerts, and the quiet hum of fountains beneath the Los Angeles sky. Opening in 1999, the Promenade drew shoppers with a Macy's home store and a vision of suburban leisure, its walkways lined with high-end boutiques and polished stone. But the illusion of prosperity faded quickly. The 2008 recession cut deep, anchors vanished, and Macy's closed its doors in 2012, leaving a hollowed shell where crowds once drifted. In 2015, a fire tore through the empty Macy's wing, charring what remained of the mall's promise. As the years passed, the echoes of footsteps gave way to police reports, assaults, break-ins, and lawsuits from tenants who accused the owners of neglect. By 2019, the Promenade was a shadow, its fountains dry, plazas overgrown, and security patrols outnumbering visitors. In 2022, the city approved a sweeping redevelopment plan. The old mall would be razed and replaced by a dense thicket of apartments and transit lines. Demolition began in 2025, erasing the last traces of luxury on the hill. What remains is a cautionary tale about how quickly opulence can curdle into blight, and how the silent ruins of the Promenade set the stage for the catastrophe that would follow at Carousel Mall. And finally, in first place, Carousel Mall in San Bernardino stands as the most tragic chapter in California's ghost mall saga. Born in 1995 with the promise of renewal, the mall's very name was a nod to its centerpiece, a two-story carousel spinning beneath a glass dome, horses frozen in mid-gallop, their paint bright against the atrium's polished tile. For a brief moment, the carousel drew families from across the Inland Empire, its lights flickering through holiday festivals and after-school afternoons. But the magic unraveled quickly. The 2008 recession hit San Bernardino hard, and the anchors, Mervyn's, Macy's, and JCPenney, faded one by one, leaving only echoes in the empty corridors. By 2017, the last department store locked its doors and the carousel itself was dismantled, its platform left bare and rusting. What followed was a descent into chaos. The abandoned shell became a magnet for trespassers and urban explorers, but also for danger. In the years after closure, the mall suffered a string of fires, one in 2020 that gutted the former food court, another that scorched the carousel's remains. Reports of shootings in the deserted parking structure sent waves of fear through the city, and in 2021, a man was electrocuted while scavenging copper wire from the vacant utility rooms. Each incident deepened the sense of menace, transforming the mall from faded memory to a hazard zone. San Bernardino's own struggles compounded the tragedy. The city's 2012 bankruptcy left it unable to fund demolition or secure the property, and legal disputes stalled every plan for redevelopment. By 2023, the site was a ruin, windows shattered, warning signs flapping in the wind, the carousel's empty pedestal a monument to lost innocence. In the shadow of bankruptcy and violence, Carousel Mall became a place where hope curdled into hazard, and the promise of community spun out into darkness. Across all 13 haunted relics, one pattern lingers. California's temples of commerce, once glittering with life, now echo with absence. Their grand halls became movie sets and crime scenes. Hawthorne Plaza filmed futures, then its real owner vanished behind bars. These ghost malls prove nostalgia cannot shelter bricks from change. Their silence is a warning. Even monuments to our desires can fade almost overnight. Which of these lost malls haunts you most? Share your memories below.